One of the biggest questions I've seen debated since Rise of Skywalker's release is one which also comes up with the Dark Empire comics and legend, namely whether the return of Palpatine ruins the sacrifice that Anakin made. It's a topic I often hear what I consider to be a lot of important details and considerations left out of, so I wanted to take some time to lay out why I think that it doesn't actually negate his sacrifice. Essentially, as I often hear it, the premise is that through his sacrifice Anakin killed the Emperor, saved Luke, and contributed to the downfall of the Empire he helped create. However, I think this premise is flawed in that the complaints raised against it ignore what was really important about the themes surrounding Anakin's choice and the original trilogy more generally. The emphasis on Palpatine's death is way overstated, and on the protection of Luke is way understated. The important part of what Anakin does in Episode 6 is not necessarily about the effect, but the choice and the intent. He's thrown aside the darkness he has been a slave to for so long in order to make the ultimate sacrifice to save his son. And that's the key right there. The point of Anakin's actions, the choice he made, was not to kill the Emperor per se. Anakin's goal was to protect Luke at all costs. Whether Palpatine survived in some way, whether in Legends or the new canon version, is somewhat immaterial to the choice he made and the fact that he unquestionably saved Luke in that moment. When it comes to the destruction of the Death Star, the Empire, and even the Emperor himself, Vader's actions were, in the grand scheme of things, kind of irrelevant. What we see occurring in the throne room is not the endgame of a galactic political scheme, but a much more personal story between Anakin, Luke, and the man whose actions pit them against each other. Even Luke's actions were not particularly relevant to the rebellion as a whole. If Luke had not gone on the Death Star, Palpatine and Vader would still have both been there. Han, Leia, and Chewbacca would still have been on the ground disabling the shield. Akbar would still have been commanding the rebel fleet against the Imperial forces. And Lando would still have been flying through the Death Star to destroy it. It's certainly possible that Vader and the Emperor could have escaped the Death Star's destruction, but even in that situation it's likely they would have been captured and killed, and their arrogance may have prevented them from doing so in the first place, so it's far from a foregone conclusion that they would have otherwise lived. Instead, again, what we get is a story that emphasizes the choices of individual people. Palpatine's blindness to Anakin's remaining compassion for his son, Luke's decision to risk his life aboard the Death Star for the chance to redeem his father, and Anakin's ultimate decision that what mattered wasn't the preservation or even destruction of the Empire, the Emperor, or the Sith. It was his son, and that was worth his own life. I do have some issues with how Star Wars handles redemption generally. I don't think this one act gives Vader the clean slate the universe often tries to make it seem like it does, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, and above all else, regardless of the effect of his actions, it was his choice that mattered. Again, just a topic I've wanted to weigh in on for a while. If you have any extra thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with my assessment, let me know in the comments. On the topic of Dark Empire, Eckhart's Ladder and I spoke about it on TapCaf Transmissions this week. For every other week, we discuss a different piece of Star Wars media. If the episode of the podcast where we talk about that isn't already up on my channel by the time this video goes up, then it's definitely already on his, because we live streamed that one on his channel. Next time it'll be here. But if you have any other suggestions for future video topics, please also leave them in the comments as well. I still do plan to get to that Q&A series, so leave comments with the hashtag QuestionTime if you have something for that. Also, consider leaving a like or subscribing for more. Thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time.